What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 301. We are back. It's a great Sunday. A lot of good things going on in the gaming world. And me and these fine gentlemen you see in front of you are ready to talk about it. Sorry about being late on the live start here. Dan was holding us up a little bit, but we're here. We're ready to go. And I am your host, Ainsley Bowden, and we're going to be talking about a lot today. A lot of games to catch up on because we didn't talk about them last week with episode 300, so we got a lot to touch on there. And we're going to be covering the state of gaming adaptations. It is San Diego Comic-Con this week. We got a lot of news about upcoming nerd movies and shows that we all love. And so we're going to kind of update everyone because there's a lot of video game adaptations in the works, all kinds of random information about those we'll get you up to date on. But first, these fine gentlemen you see before me, Travis excluded, of course, Mr. Tie Guy himself, 1 week away from being married, my friend.
Yes. And I have been elevated up here to the top shelf. Yes. Very excited to be a part of this esteemed council of the top shelf. I will now look down upon and comment on the pros beneath me. For I am I'm a new man. This is the smallest amount of power to ever go to someone's head. I will now be drinking Dr. Pepper on the show, eating in the middle of sentences, and talking exclusively about Hitman 3. Now that
all
I
fair.
am up here. Very good. Very good.
Oh.
Chip. Cheerio.
I like that you did both bits at once. You're a fancy European gentleman, and you're also Dan.
Yeah. I mean,
yes.
You know, that's pretty much what Dan is, right?
What could be more
a little on the nose, Travis.
Yeah. what could be more elitist than eating while my like gorging myself? I'm gonna have a hand come off screen and feed me grapes while I listen to you guys give your takes about games. It's gonna be great. Excited.
Next on Season Gaming, Travis presents the Olympic opening ceremony.
Sorry, I couldn't pick a bit, Hogan. I feel very called out.
Of course, the lawman, as you know him, Mr. Hogan. How we doing? That's what they call you, right? The lawman, the man of the law.
They don't usually refer to lawyers as lawmen. It usually goes to the cops. Okay. But hey, I appreciate it. Yes, I do have some familiarity with the legal system of the United States in particular.
Nice.
Yes, don't mess with those CMA people. They're weird. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into it here. Obviously, for regulars around here, you notice Dan is not here. If you did not happen to see his message that we shared last week, he has been canceled permanently, so he will no longer be on the show. I had to remove him. It was as a matter of integrity here at Bitcast, honestly.
Yeah,
we did lose Joe Biden and Dan on the same day.
It's true.
That is true, actually. Yeah. That is 100% true.
It was the biggest dropping out news of the day, seeing that letter.
It really was. Yeah. It really was.
Really
the most surprising, for sure.
But he wanted to pass the torch to a younger generation, I heard, which is really nice.
Then why am I here?
He appointed Travis as his successor, and there's a whole bunch of controversy on X and Instagram. Yeah. You can see. We don't know if Travis is brat yet. We don't know what that means. We don't know about his drip. We have all sorts of questions.
Yeah. It's going to be...
Ho's throwing out words again. He's doing it again.
He clearly has seen Twitter in the past week. It's great. I love it.
So Dan, in all seriousness, Dan is taking care of some family matters. He will not be with us going forward. So I just hope you wish him the best. And obviously, we will insert some homages to him along the way. So, but before we get started, because Travis has been elevated, he now has more responsibility, that often happens in life. And so as we catch up on Super Chats, Mr. Travis, I will hand them to you.
Sweet. Googleman, €10 Super Chat. Been watching Poker Face instead of playing Balatro. And also Heartbeat Dill Pickle Serrano is refreshing and burning the mouth simultaneously. Poker Face, good show. I watched that show.
I just started watching it this week. Seriously.
Good. It's a good one.
Yeah. 2 episodes in. I like it so far. It's what's his name? Who did Rian Johnson, right?
Oh, we don't say Ryan Johnson's name in this dojo.
We do. We say it with gusto. It's actually a good show. Well written. That lady is the weirdest, like, on-screen appearance actress I've ever seen, but she does a great job. So agreed.
I always forget her name. Natasha Leon. Is that it? She's French, right?
She just has a very weird look. She looks like somebody who lives in Vegas. You know what I mean? Like,
Hence
that's her
Poker
character.
Face. It works.
Yeah. Playing Balatro is great. I do not know what Heartbeat, Dill Pickle, Serrano. Well, I know what Serrano is. I know what Dill Pickle is. I think I can put it together. I just don't know the brand.
Yeah, I got nothing for that one. That's a pure Googleman right there.
You guys still playing Balatro? Some people really got into that game still.
Yeah, it's still one of the games I check out.
Intermittently, yeah, it's amazing though. Our group at SG has it on their Game of the Year list, like a lot of us do, so far. So
I'll buy that.
Yeah. Googleman, thank you. Googleman, thank you as always. Debbie W.
Debbie Dubs. Best of luck next week, Travis. My hubby and I married on August 8th, and it'll be 16 years this year. I wish you and D all the best. Sparkling heart of pink. Yeah.
Are you going to read the emojis?
Sparkling heart of pink. It's a pink heart. And it's sparkling.
That's weird. It's red in StreamYard, but it's pink on YouTube.
Okay, I'm reading, I guess, the YouTube versions of the emojis. If you speak a different emoji language, we will have a translator.
Yeah.
Next week. You have my word.
Next week. Tune in.
Thank you, Debbie Dubs. I'm very excited. For those of you who don't know, I'm getting married next Tuesday, so I will have another episode here before my marriage. I think we're doing the show Sunday, and then you're flying out like almost Monday. Right after, right? Yeah. Okay. So
I wasn't invited, so I'm staying right here.
Hogue wasn't invited explicitly because he told me he wouldn't be able to go, but he definitely would have been invited if he could go. But it was like I was like planning this right after his stroke, and he was walking around, in a wheelchair like Professor X, and it was just a whole. I couldn't.
He was walking around in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I couldn't
get out of rehab.
I couldn't get Xavier over to my house. Yeah, he was doing the like all the shows. There's always an episode where like the main character just got beat up and they're like in bed the whole episode. Like every show does that, and you're like, oh, it's one of these episodes where they're healing. Like I don't care about that. He was in his healing episode.
I'm still in my healing episode. It takes longer than those sitcoms would have you believe.
I know, and that's even worse because those are the most boring episodes. You're like, we get it. Let's just can we like not have to watch him like clean his wounds like 3 times on one episode? I don't have the stomach for it, bro.
There's entire episodes of 24 that are just like Jack in a bathroom cleaning wounds.
Yeah, he doesn't poop. 24 hours.
That's true. Like if you watch some of the commercial breaks, you'll see them come out of a restroom. Like
I see. So it's implied pooping.
Yes. Okay.
That's good. Implied pooping.
All right. We're going to move on from implied pooping. Okay. WW, thank you as always for the support. Appreciate you. And of course, we've got Tide's picks in the house. She went with dragons this week.
Really?
Because of Like the Dragon. And of course, Dan's still rocking in the upper right corner. You get relegated for Ty's picks.
I like to believe the prompt was literally like a dragon.
Yeah. I must say, Ains and Dan, they look. I can see, like, if you showed me these dragons, I would be like, okay, that's Ains. Easily. Dan's dragon, I can get behind. Very Spyro-ish.
And Travis, your dragon looks adorable, but you do look too happy and satisfied with life.
No, I look derpy as hell. That's what I was going to say. Like, I can't even really tell that that's me. There's nothing really about me that's there, but I do look very simple, don't I? My eyes look a little
satisfied with life.
I mean, that's one way of saying
it. Is that how you read happiness and contentment, Travis, as derpy?
I think so. Yeah. No, I think we're all learning something about me right now.
I was going to say, I think we'll crack the code.
Why do your glasses look like part of your head? They're not glasses. They're like
that's what my wife asks me.
Yeah. I also apparently don't need my ears to support the glasses at all. It's basically like 2 monocles. Hogue, I'm really, really liking this underbite on you. I think that's a great look. Could we work on that? Can
I
we work
can't
on
pull
you?
that off.
We can't give you an underbite on the show because I think it would really sell the bottom shelf, the bottom row, part of the podcast.
The underbite. Yeah, he's doing like the little like lip to the side thing. I don't know what he's going for there. Interesting.
I like
it. Ty, thank you as always.
Yeah,
all right, boys. Awesome. Let's go ahead and get caught up on some game chatter because we haven't actually talked about games in a few weeks, and there's been a lot of them. So, surprise! There's been games.
There's games. I didn't know that.
Wait, is that what we're here for? Yeah,
that's the big G you see next to my head.
Nice.
I don't know where I was going with that, but moving on. Kunitsu-Gami. I want to talk about this and hand it to you, Hogue, because we were talking before the show. This is one I was excited for. I played it briefly in LA, but I haven't actually played it since it released a week and a half or so ago. But I know a lot of people have been raving about it as not only an excellent game, but, kind of unique in its structure and how it plays. And you were saying before the show how much you're enjoying it, I believe. Take it away,
sir. I really wanted to talk about it, but your
okay.
instinct is correct. So yeah, let's talk about Kunitsu-Gami, the name of the game that I couldn't remember when Ains told me he played it this last summer. But I got to try the demo a little bit before my vacation, and I thought, yeah, that's fine. That should work. And I vastly underestimated how awesome this game is. So a couple of things. One, I want to tell people that one of my favorite game designs and games way back when, because we are the seasoned gaming Bitcast here, is a game called ActRaiser. And in this game, basically, you're God.
I remember ActRaiser.
And you go down to cleanse the land of demons and then build up their little villages, almost like you're playing a Super Nintendo version of SimCity. So it combined these kinds of concepts of building up things, and tactical gameplay, as well as certain adventure elements where you fight demons and bosses and things. And Kunitsu-Gami, to me, is the spiritual successor to ActRaiser. And it wasn't one that I was expecting. It wasn't one that I was excited about. But I saw it was on the PlayStation Store. I bought it. And I'm adding that piece of the information to the story because it's actually on Game Pass. And ordinarily, with that kind of set of facts, I would feel immediately bad about the fact that I'd spent money on it. But it immediately grabbed me from the first level, and like the best video games, like a Super Mario Galaxy or whatever you think of when I say this next part, it is great from moment one, and then it adds new elements basically every level. Like every single level is a surprise as to what they're adding that fits completely into what they've built as their structure for the game. But for folks that don't know anything about Kunitsu-Gami, the basic concept is that you're in a spiritual Japanese mountain world, and the mountain has become desecrated. And the art is gorgeous in this game, but it's very much a kind of desecration by toxicity. It's those kinds of florid pinks and neon greens and things that are infesting the natural colors of the mountain. So if you think of a movie like Annihilation, if you've seen that one, or something like the Far Cry After the Apocalypse spinoff. It's this very multicolored, kind of disgusting looking area, and you're going as what I believe is like a creation of the Spirit Maiden as her protector, and you're going and purging the land of defilement, I believe is what they say. So it's got a little bit of that Warhammer 40,000 language in it, but as a genre, if you can call it that, as a concept, kind of cleansing the land and making it better is one of my favorites. I'm a paladin by heart. I talked last year about how much I love Terra Nil, which is a game about kind of restoring a desolated wasteland and bringing back water and animals and things. And so the basic concept of getting rid of the demons and bringing back nature to this area is very much a Princess Mononoke kind of feel. And I love it for that. But the actual game is even better than how awesome the art is and how awesome the concept is. You're tasked with protecting this Spirit Maiden, who you're going to help kind of dance to these desecrated torii gates, those red gates in Japanese culture. And you can move her during the day and you can go and adventure around the area by day. And then by night, she's attacked by monsters. And so you have to rescue these villagers from the desecration. You have to give them tasks like essentially being melee or ranged attackers, put them in various places, protect her when night comes, and then you can also fight yourself. And it's just such an excellent combination of action game and kind of tactics, tower defense game. And then when you get done with a level, you have a base to build up and various things that you can get from building that base up that all kind of play into the building of your characters. Every kind of villager that you can create from those melee and ranged and other things is their own skill tree. And you wind up getting your own skill tree later on is one of the things that they reveal. And I don't want to reveal too much about how the game expands, because to me that engagement with discovery is part of the fun of the game. But what I can say is I played it for, like, it was my main game this week. I played it for like 15 hours, and it continues to be eventful and interesting and surprising in ways that I wasn't expecting. I don't think anybody's expecting the way something is surprising, but there you go. So Kunitsu-Gami, if any of that sounds interesting to you, take that, buy it, play it on Game Pass, whatever you want to do with it. It is not only a great game, it's an artistic feat, and it's all done basically without dialogue. Like everything that I've just described to you doesn't happen with kind of words vocalized between the characters. But there is constant lore to find, which is always interesting if you're interested in Japanese or any other culture. And there's really in-depth models for the enemies that you can gain, as well as the backstories behind what these demons represent on this mountain. And it's all just very, very fulfilling, and I could not recommend it more.
Sweet.
All right.
Thanks, Travis.
Apparently I'm having audio issues. I was not aware of it. Is that any better, or is that worse or same?
I think it sounds better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like all your room noise was like 11.
Loud?
You know?
Really?
Yeah. So
he just wanted to cut me off. He doesn't like it when I gush. He's worried Kunitsu-Gami is a Skull and Bones successor.
He doesn't want you to walk the path of the goddess. He's intimidated by that.
Okay, hopefully that's better. Sorry about that. It sounds awesome, Hogue. It's what kind of intrigued me by the game when I first saw it, when they first showed it late last year, whenever that was, or at the Xbox thing. I need to dive in. It's just getting time to play it. I've been playing other stuff, but that sounds awesome. I know you're not alone. A lot of people I've seen have had low expectations going in, but have ended up loving it. So
I didn't know fully what it was. And honestly, what convinced me was the IGN review, which they only gave it an 8 out of 10, which I think is actually low for what this thing is. But again, don't worry about numbers. Read the actual review. They talked about things that I thought were interesting, and it convinced me to give it a try. And then when I played it, I liked it even more than the reviewer at IGN did. So
nice.
I don't want to undersell how great this game is and how enjoyable it is. Please check it out, because there's been a lot of complaining by folks like me in the past few years about games getting kind of stuck in certain ruts and AAA gaming only doing over-the-shoulder action adventures or first-person man shoots or whatever you want to call it. This is what we want developers to be making, a really weird thing that it's own thing. You haven't played Kunitsu-Gami before. I'm likening it to ActRaiser because that's what it reminds me of. It's not ActRaiser. It's not the same game. It's a similar kind of focus of design. But we want more of these things out there. Gorgeous, impeccably well-designed, fun to play, and constantly surprising. Check it out. Kunitsu-Gami.
Nice. Very nice.
Cool.
Capcom, man. Capcom seems to be killing it. So good on them. Couple other things. I know we talked about Concord at length. I know you put up your kind of beta or beta review, I should say, Travis, of what we played previously. Marvel Rivals is currently in closed beta as well, and we'll have coverage of that in the future. But seems like we're getting a few different kind of hero shooters, coming along the same path here. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do. The feedback I've seen about Marvel Rivals, or at least kind of seen on social media about it, has been very positive as well. So I guess on Concord, just because I want to talk about it briefly, is I really enjoyed what I played. it's definitely a game I'm going to be picking up here, and it comes out in like 3 weeks or so, like late August, right?
Middle of August, I believe.
Middle of August.
21 days from now.
Okay,
maybe
3 weeks. Perfect.
Maybe middle of August is supposed to be when I'm getting the review code. That's when I know I have to go back and play more of it. So yeah.
Oh, you're reviewing it formally too?
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
So I did the beta impressions as sort of a review in progress, and then when the game fully comes out, that'll be on my docket post wedding. So
you can tell what games I have already pre-ordered when I can tell you the timer counts on these things.
There you go.
So yeah, I think it's like 21 days and hours from now.
Okay. There's a lot of conversation around Concord and whether or not it's going to be successful. Obviously, we don't know yet, etc. Marvel Rivals, free to play, has the Marvel license, has those characters, may draw people in. But I'm wondering about Concord, like knowing now that it's coming up on release. We went through the open beta as well. What are you guys feeling about that? You think this one's going to actually do anything? You think Marvel Rivals is going to eat its lunch? And don't forget, there are other kind of not hero shooters, but other new shooters coming out as well. In fact, we finally got the official announcement of one that's been in alpha for a while, kind of behind the scenes from Mountaintop Studios, which I blanket on the name at the moment. But I don't know. I based on your review, preview, gameplay, Travis, and what you've seen online, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think they have a chance. Like a lot of live service games, the support once the game comes out may be more important than the initial debut. But I think that Marvel Rivals has obviously... I was actually talking about this with one of my editors at IGN yesterday. I went to his house. We were talking about like the fact that a lot of hero shooters popped up right after Overwatch and basically got smacked down because Overwatch had just sort of won the hero shooter war. And now I think they sense that there's blood in the water because Overwatch has been a troubled game for a while, especially post Overwatch 2. And so now you see these other hero shooters popping up and trying again, which I think is cool, right? There's an opportunity to get some cool new games now that Overwatch is presumably being dethroned. And I think Marvel Rivals has a lot of advantages. The fact that it's got the Marvel IP, the fact that it is free to play, which means it's going to have a mass appeal. It's also not exclusive to one platform, which I think has that'll affect the numbers in some way, not a huge way because it is the PlayStation exclusive. It's not the other way. But it still will impact the numbers. So I'm interested to see how it goes out. But I think Concord has proved to me that like that team is really talented. You can feel the Destiny DNA in there with some of those former Bungie devs. So I think that they have a chance to succeed, but they obviously have a lot up against them. Really, if you read my review in progress, my big question was like, what does this game bring new to the table, right? And my answer right now is I'm not really sure it does bring anything to the table. It follows the Overwatch formula really closely. It kind of cribs the Guardians of the Galaxy vibe a lot, and those two things are both really cool. But is that enough to is good gameplay enough to keep the game alive? It following so closely to like the script that Overwatch wrote for it originally. Marvel Rivals may fall prey to that same issue, and I think in those cases they'll always be qualified successes to me if they merely do another acceptable replica of the hero shooter genre without adding anything of their own. But I do think that there's an opportunity for one of these games to add something novel and unique and change up the genre and move it forward for the better. And that's what I hope they do, because what's the point in dethroning the previous genre ruler if you're not going to mix things up? So
I think it's to take their money for your own. I believe it's a simple conquest strategy. But like I said last week, I think where Concord has a chance to add more to what you can do with a hero shooter is actually in that lore and background. Now, look, I love lore and background and world building in my video games. I know I'm not alone, but I also know I'm not the majority on that. But you could feel it with even a little bit of the stuff they were doing with the cinematics, that can make the experience of playing the game cooler just to have that connection with the characters. I think where they might get kind of just dominated by something like Marvel Rivals is that Marvel Rivals has the IP, and knowing those characters comes with that IP. Like, that's what you get with it. But I think the combination of Concord being really good to play, it was even better to play than I had expected, and having some of that background in addition could add something to the overall pot of what you need in these games. And what I would like to see is, even if Concord isn't the ultimate success or winner, that kind of needing to put what Blizzard was doing with their YouTube 7-minute CGI ads into the game and having it be more organic in and of itself will add to some shooter at some point in a way that I like.
Yeah, I think all that's fair. I guess we'll obviously see. I know we've talked about it quite a bit already. I'm just kind of curious, with it near out now, Marvel Rivals gameplay going on, like I said, in closed beta, and the general impressions I've seen around have been very positive. And then Mountaintop Studios is finally unveiling their game, like I said, August 1st, actually. So just in a few days, you'll get to see kind of everything they've been working on. And Shroud, who obviously is a very, very well-known streamer and kind of tactical shooter player, he's supporting that game and like is part of the marketing behind it. So we'll see what that looks like. It's very unique. We've had some people playing that at SG as well. Obviously can't talk about it, but you'll get to see that game in full. But yeah, I mean, the competition is just fierce out there. And like with Modern Warfare 3 dropping on Game Pass this past week, finally, we get the latest kind of Call of Duty that's starting to happen on Game Pass now. I actually hadn't played it, the multiplayer spot, so I installed that, started playing it. It's Call of Duty, of course, but I mean, just the level of competition in the shooter space in particular is just crazy. There's just so many different shooters to play, and when the hook on shooters nowadays isn't necessarily, I don't think for most people anyway, isn't necessarily like it used to be, where it's like there's a handful of shooters you just play because you love it or love the mechanics of one. There's so many now, and a lot of the hook seems to be the addictive nature of it, unlocking skins or features or characters, like that constant carrot on a stick type approach that people get locked into certain ecosystems. Call of Duty does that very well. Apex does that very well. And they're at the top of the leaderboard or player counts because of that. And I think
I'm not positive Concord has it right. I mean, it was only the beta, right? But they have this kind of job board bounty system set up that I don't think gave the same like dopamine rush that some of the other designs have, and maybe that's okay. I mean, it's certainly within the spirit of their world building, but I don't think they've perfected that yet. And one of the cool bits of news that came out this last week, if you didn't see it, I bet you did, but if you didn't see it, is that they're not going to have a battle pass. They're going to have everything be cosmetics and characters and things that you earn just by playing the game, like the olden days, if you will, the seasoned days. And I think that could be pretty cool. I think you still have a problem with folks that do this math on day one and say, well, this is free to play and this is $40, and don't add up the number of skins that they buy or anything else for whatever reason. I'm not wired that way, so I don't understand it. But I think you are going to have that kind of issue at the front end. But again, I love Concord. I'm rooting for it. I enjoyed the cinematics and the vibe so much that I wound up going on a kick this week when I wasn't playing Kunitsu-Gami of playing essentially wacky space adventure games. And so I got myself a copy of High on Life, which I was talking about last year as not loving. I still don't love the humor, but it is a shooter I haven't played fully before, and it is interesting in a way. And so I don't regret my purchase. I still don't love it as much as Travis did. But I got High on Life. I was playing No Man's Sky, which I'm sure Ains is going to talk about more. And then I remembered that one of my games of the year of the last couple of years was Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is still an awesome game. And I've gotten to re-engage with that after a couple of years of not playing it. So
nice.
Been having fun with those too.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the High on Life DLC I played, High on Knife, is pretty not good. So
well, I got that too. So it doesn't
pretty not good.
Pretty not good. I went back and played that I think I reviewed that expansion or DLC last year, and I was like, no. No, this isn't what I wanted. But yeah, I think there will be two winners in this group of shooters. There'll be the winner of day one who's playing, right? And I think that will probably be Marvel no matter what, just because they have a free to play model. And then the second winner will be who wins 3, 5, 6 months later via their live service model. And I think you have two competing philosophies. You have the buy the game up front, get rid of the battle passes, make it more of like a traditional game. And then you have new age free to play season passes, presumably loot box opening skins type stuff.
You can do the Ubisoft way and just sell it for 100 and also have the battle passes and seasons.
True. I mean, you can do that. But I think that will play into the equation a small amount, but less than people think, because I think most people who play games don't really think about the model beyond like, oh, what they want me to pay money. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting, but I think they both have a chance. It really just come down to how prepared are they to roll with the punches, add new content, and who made the better game.
I'm worried about those Concord beta numbers, but really all I'm aimed at is, can you keep the lights on and a number of dollars coming in that is satisfactory to your publisher, in this case Sony, to keep the lights on for enough time that I get the money that I did pay to get in the door is worth out of interacting with you. And I still miss games like Battleborn and things that didn't work out, right? But that's really what I want to see from Concord, because I really like, you said that they seem like a talented team, Travis. I think they do. I know Firewalk hasn't made anything before. I know they have some experience making games for other companies, but it seems apparent that they have the touch, as it were, with how to make shooting fun. And one of the things that jumps out at me when you go and you jump into something like High on Life is like that shooting is perfunctory. Like everything around it is what they were focused on, the talking guns and the humor and the world building. But the actual interaction of gun and enemy and shooting in that game is rote. It is nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the free to play versus paid conversation is probably the biggest aspect, which kind of makes me sad and frustrated, but it's just a fact. And I've said many times now that, I play a lot of shooters, obviously, and I think in many ways you almost have to be free to play. Not have to be, but it feels like it. You have to be free to play just to compete in the marketplace. But at the same time, personally, I don't like the free to play model that much. I just think it brings with it a lot of negatives that sadly impact the game negatively. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm hopeful for it.
Makes the game feel a little less premium when you
have to, free to play is how you get the people in the door, right? And then obviously you're usually paying for battle passes or skins or all this other stuff, and you end up spending more than $40 anyway, usually, or I should say some people do. But it is just it's a mindset, to Hoag's point. I've said this before, but like talking to my son and his friends, late teenagers, early 20s, they will not buy Concord for $40. They just won't. But they'll spend several $100s on skins in League of Legends. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just the mindset. It's like, you play the game for free, and if I like it, then I'll pay you. And it's just kind of, it's a shame. But I think I was playing, what game was it we were talking about the other day? There was another game I was playing, and I've mentioned this before too, but like, free to play, you get banned or you cheat or, something happens and you just create a new account, and then you create a new account, or you have alternate accounts, or you have Smurf accounts. And it's just like, that's what free to play brings to the table. If you lock an ID to a paid copy of a game and it gets banned, if you want to keep playing, you're buying another copy of the game, which, generally speaking, people aren't going to keep buying copies of the game to be an a-hole online. So that kind of stuff, I think, just kind of solves itself when the game's paid. But, I don't know. Either way,
there's ways to get around it too. Destiny had that problem because they're semi-free to play, and they just created a thing where you have to like play the game for 10 hours on your account before you hop into multiplayer. And so I think there's ways to solve that. And I don't think free to play is necessarily a bad thing, right? It's giving consumers more ways to engage with their games and to choose another path. And I also think it's fairer to consumers that they get to decide if they like the game before they pay, rather than getting misled by marketing, making a purchase and then regretting it. And so I think there's a place for it, but I also understand the complaint when people say like, it's just annoying. Like I wish there was a button for stop annoying me, just let me pay one price and then make all of this go away, all these pop-ups and things you're trying to sell me. And I totally get that too. So I think it takes all types. I like that we have games that you buy
Options
them
are
once
good.
and then they don't bother you
Yeah.
ever again. But I also like, it's nice every once in a while when you get a free-to-play game to come out and you just play it for a little bit, let other people pay for the skins. I never do, and I just look like a trash bag while everybody else is sparkling and wearing French maid outfits and stuff. I'm okay with that.
I know what game Travis is playing.
You've been looking at my Spartan again?
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that is his first Ascendant, and that was one that I talked about a couple weeks ago. Like I'm with Travis on this 100%. I know that doesn't happen all the time, but I'm glad that there's a pathway that can get you a game with that level of design and graphics and get it into your hands for free. It's not for me. I don't like that game in particular. And it is pretty aggressive with asking you for things and telling you about economies. But I'm glad that that's available for people to play. I never had that opportunity when I was a kid. There was nothing you could do to get that kind of experience without paying anything on day one.
You ever think about that? Like if to be a kid today with like the things I had to do to play a video game I wanted to play, it was like I was running grifts in the street, and now
me too. I was reselling games constantly.
Dude, yeah. I was making friends with people I didn't like because they had a console or a game I wanted to play, dude. Brutal. And now
I was that friend.
You were the friend. Yeah, exactly. I had to hang out with Hogue as a kid. You know what that does to a person?
I had the same personality back then.
Yeah, he's citing statutes. I was like, shut up, bro. Shut up.
There you go.
Trying to play Donkey Kong Country, bro. What are you doing?
Did you know Donkey Kong is not actually a country?
Yeah, exactly. Bro. But yeah, I think it would be crazy to be a kid now, right? If you have access to Game Pass, all you'd have to do is find a friend that had Game Pass or be able to afford it yourself.
Oh, they have so many options.
Even if you didn't have it, the free-to-play options, you could live
whenever they want.
Yeah, you could live off of free-to-play games.
They do. Absolutely do. That's what my son, every time I ask him what they're playing, he plays a lot of games in a group, Discord and all that. And every time I ask him, like, what game you playing? It's a game I haven't heard of. Like, you know what I mean? And we cover this and we talk about games every week, and it's just these random free Steam games constantly. You know what I mean? Because there's so many of them, Once in a while he'll say something, else, or, they play a lot of League of Legends too, but it's all kinds of games I've never heard of. What the hell's that? Yeah, just free to play games, whatever's the hot for that week or two. That's it. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. And part of me, I'm of two minds with the Concord announcement. I like that you get everything when you buy it. But I also have talked to you about the fact that I like the drive of a battle pass. Like that does work with my wiring of going and earning those things. I like that the Diablo 4 seasons have battle passes essentially with them because it drives me to playing them. And I'm not a guy that just generally plays a multiplayer shooter for the love of the game. So I am worried that their setup is not set up to drive me to play, even though I like their game. And if it's not set up to drive others to play, then it will fold pretty quickly. So I want them to get that right. We'll see if they do. I'm not interested in Marvel Rivals, but we'll see how that all goes.
Yeah, I'm not either, but it feels like anecdotally more people are. So
I'll play it.
Yeah. Travis, what you got going on lately, man? Playing anything good? The second part of the question, not the first part, or that you can actually talk about.
Chris, yeah, I can talk about it. So Christopher Jetser actually just super chatted and asked about it. So I have just concluded playing over 90 hours of Earth Defense Force 6. For those of you who don't know, Earth Defense Force 6 is a game franchise that seems to be based around making intentionally really awful games, but they get by because it ends up being very fun to play these games. The dialogue is atrocious. The voice acting is very, very intentionally like cheesy and bad. The game looks like it was made for the PlayStation 3 with its awful graphics. And then they put so many enemies and explosions on screen that even on a high-end PC or PlayStation 5, the frame rate is nowhere near stable. And somehow doing all of that with a group of 4 people is a damn good time. EDF 6 is that, but hey, let's put about 10 times more content than we really needed to put into this game into the game. And so it has 150 levels in the base campaign, and then it has more levels beyond that in the DLC. It's been out in Japan for about a year, so it's, you know, kind of a known quantity, and they've added on to it by the time it got to North America. But yeah, this game is way bigger than I thought it was going to be. It involves time travel, so you're going.
Would you call it a bloat goat?
I don't. Here's an anecdote that I think will be helpful to people, because this is so hard. So I'm writing the review today because I finished it on Saturday morning. Technically, D and I stayed up until 7 a.m. Finishing this game. So you play the game for like 5 hours, and then something happens where like the Earth explodes in the game. And then it says,
the defense force isn't doing very well. Okay.
But here's the thing. The game involves time travel. So the idea is that you keep losing the war, and then the Earth explodes, and then you go back in time. So you're playing the game for like 5 hours, the Earth explodes, and then the screen goes white, and it says Earth Defense Force 6 begins now. And you're like, all right, cool. You play through an entire war. It's like 30 or 40 levels. The Earth explodes again, and then it says Earth Defense Force 7 begins now. And you're like, wait, hold on. What? Am I playing a different game now? And then it keeps doing that. Like you play through Earth Defense Force 8, you play through Earth Defense Force 9, and you're just like, I no longer know what's happening anymore. Like I was joking with Tom. I was like, are you going to pay me for 4 reviews? Because technically this is Earth Defense Force 4 or 6 through 9. So I feel like you should give me 4 times the review money. But yeah, it is an insane game. It is fun. Like if you like Earth
do you
Defense
enjoy
Force
it ironically or legitimately?
I enjoy it legitimately,
Yes.
but there is a deep irony and sarcasm in the like you have to like I've reviewed Earth Defense Force games before, and they're really tough to review because you have to open with like all the stuff that the game doesn't do well that's just like demonstrably bad, like the frame rate being completely unstable. Like no defense for that. The graphics being like horrific. There's no defense for that. Like it's all bad. But then they just know what they're doing. They really do know what they're doing. When they put that specific cocktail of terrible things together, it's just fun, especially if you're playing with a group of 4, man. Like if you play that game online, like you just open up a room and you play it with randoms, you will make friends. Like people will add you because they're like, oh, this guy plays Earth Defense Force, he's cool. They'll hit you up.
He's cool.
Been uttered in the English language.
Yeah, they will hit you up like so. I was just making random groups and playing with random people who happen to be in the game, and then later they would like ping me in messages and be like EDF, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like just you'll make friends because the community is just people who get it. Right, like they're very good humored, very like it's such a good platform to just meet people and have really stupid fun times. Like all the EDF games were grindy, like even if they only had like 40 or 50 levels, they would make you play a crap load to be able to take on like the Inferno difficulty. But this one is a whole new level. Like this one, not only do you have to play 150 levels just to get through the campaign, but then it's like, all right, you beat the game, you've now unlocked hard mode and Inferno mode, and if you want to play through those, you have to play the game on all the difficulties so that you can unlock levels of weapons that can compete at those difficulties and enough armor so that you don't immediately get melted on those difficulties. And so like I played the game for over 90 hours and I could play another 90 without getting to the end of it. And some people really want that. I'm not in for that. Like I saw the jokes and I got to the end of the campaign and I'm out. But the fact that you could dive in that deep is crazy. It's just, honestly, EDF was Helldivers before Helldivers 2, you know, like it has that same sort of vibe and like tongue in cheek, but Helldivers has like, it's a quality game with kind of a sarcastic vibe. And this is like a terrible game with a sarcastic vibe, but it's good. It's just fun to play. And when a game is fun, you kind of have to take the sum of its parts as being more important than any of those individual subjectively terrible things that the components of it.
But could I offer that Kunitsu-Gami is also gorgeous and plays well?
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
You could play Kunitsu-Gami. There's room for those games, but like EDF is the ultimate turn your brain off and just laugh at this game and how silly it is. But yeah, I'm gonna write the review today. It's not all roses. Like there are some parts that are legitimately like bad. They're just hard to play through. Like every time the earth blows up, they make you do like 3 or 4 levels that are really slow paced where they're like walking around. You're like on a standard patrol and the characters are talking to each other. And every time that happened in my head, I was just like, make this stop. Like I don't just let me get back to the big wars against the bugs. Like, why are you trying to tell me a story with these horrible characters? The story makes no sense. I mean, it is like I actually was writing it down to keep track of everything that was going on. And if you follow it and you make bullets of all the stuff that people say and the things that are happening, and then you read it back to yourself, you feel like you're going insane. You're like, there's no way this was what they wrote down on paper and they put into the game. But,
is there some crazy notebook that you have in your apartment or house that the FBI is going to find and say,
yeah,
like, this guy had lost it?
Yeah, I do this with lots of games where if the storyline is really convoluted, I'll just start taking notes and I'll write down every point and then I'll refer back to it. That way I can be like, okay, so I'm not going insane. Like they did say that and then immediately said something later that directly contradicted that other thing they said. Like
some games do have that problem.
Yeah, it's like they had 70 different writers and none of them were checking each other's notes. You know what I mean? Like they were just like, I'm going to put this line of dialogue in there. You also have to wonder, like, oh God, I wonder all the time about the voice actors for EDF games. Like, who are they? How did this happen to them? Did they think that they were doing a good job? Like, what were their notes when somebody told them to voice act for this? Or were they told like, yeah, we don't care. This is a stupid game. Your dialogue is basically going to be laughed at by players. So just go nuts and like try to do a bad job. Like, I wonder all the time.
Yeah.
What's that?
Ham it up as much as possible.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the instruction or they just hired the worst people they could find with no experience and then we're just like, we're not going to give them notes. Like, how did that happen? But
Nixie asks,
I don't think it's Japanese. Nixie, yeah, I don't think it's Japanese translation because
no. Sorry, about crossplay.
Okay. EF has crossplay PS4 and PS5 or PlayStation and PC. It has crossplay between PS4 and PS5. There is no crossplay between either of the PlayStation platforms and PC. So if you play it on PC, you're going to be playing with just PC people. If you play it on one of the 2 PlayStation consoles, you'll be playing with PlayStation people. So when I reviewed it, even though I have 2 PS5s, I relegated D to a PS4. That way we could see how it performed on the PS4. And as it turns out, it runs really bad on the PS4. Like hysterically bad, but I would say that there it's actually more of a problem because the frame rate issues on the PS5 are like, all right, the screen is rocking and the frame rate's not stable, but it's kind of funny. On PS4, it's like, all right, the screen is frozen for like 20 seconds. Like I'm gonna die during this. It's like really bad. So, but yeah,
wow.
The game is very. There was a time EDF 2017 and EDF I think 2023 it was called. Those games were gloriously bad. Like they were bad in the best kind of way where it was just like, oh, I want to play these so much. And then they kind of made the games too good after that. Like there were a couple EDF games where you play them and you're like, all right, this kind of is getting into the Helldiver space, but I just don't like it. And this is a return. Like they just were like, we're going to make the old, like really, really intentionally bad ones again. And we're going to make it like the biggest one yet. And so if you like those old crappy games where you just turn your brain off and you laugh about how bad the game is and have a legitimately good time, this is a return to that. But you know, if you're playing Helldivers 2 and you're thinking I want more of this, stay away. It is not Helldivers, man.
You're gonna go to No Man's Sky if that's what you're looking for.
Travis, have you made any conclusion?
He tried to segue me, Hogue. I appreciate it.
Christopher Jetser, $10. Travis, have you made any conclusions about EDF 6? I never played EDF 5. I think the game is all right, but WoW is at low quality in many ways, such as graphics and collision detection. Yeah, so EDF 5 I would put into the bracket of like they tried a little too hard and it didn't have the same like appeal. Like this is EDF 6 is art at like how to make a game feel very low budget and janky without making it feel bad to play. Like it is fun to play, even though it is a horror show of gaming. And you know, if that clicks with you,
to write.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun review. I'm very excited. That's how I'm going to be spending my day after this.
Yeah, nice. I figured I'd just put that super chat up since you basically just kind of answered it.
Yeah.
Christopher Jetzer, thank you very much. Sid commented during our conversation on Concord and Marvel and those games. So
all right. Yeah. Siddharth Shishilkar gives a 100 rupee super chat. I don't think it's really about price tag. It has an identity problem. It isn't compelling enough to make people pay.
Relating to Concord, of course.
It's possible. I think that always pops up with a new IP, and then it's compelling enough if it's compelling enough. I mean, like when the game comes out and people actually react to it. I agree that the initial kind of showpiece that they put out in the state of play was not impressive. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And I think people reacting to that and not wanting to pop into the beta is a real thing. And I don't know whether they'll wind up buying the game ultimately, but if people find it and like it, word of mouth will help that game. And I think you could make this same complaint about identity and how people feel about something in advance for anything that's new. Like I remember this before the first Assassin's Creed. People like, well, will that sell? You're jumping around Middle Eastern towns. I don't know. And like now, of course, we're on Assassin's Creed 750. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing how it turns out. But yeah, this is the fun part about people constantly saying that they want new IPs and then they get one and they go, not like that. It's tough. It's tough to tell people on new stuff, even though it is not really a new idea. Any new IP is a risky. Rob Farley II asks, did you play EDF 6 on PC at all? Do you know if the frame rate is more stable on PS5 or PC, or is it bad everywhere? I did play on PC. The frame rate is marginally more stable. I would say it's bad everywhere in that it's not consistent, but on PS5 and PC, it runs consistently 95% of the time. Like most of the time, it's not a problem. It's really when like you're playing 4-player and you're on a level with lots of enemies and somebody does a bunch of airstrikes and there's explosions everywhere, then you'll see it. But it's not like you won't get killed because of the frame rate issues. I don't think in any of the game or any of the PS5 or PC stuff that happens, but you probably will on PS4. PS4, if you're playing on that platform, you'll die and be like, man, that sucks. So
you're gonna get the Cyberpunk experience on PS4. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I'm not reviewing the PS4 version. I'm reviewing. Okay, I'm reviewing it on PS5 and PC. So yeah, mute myself in time.
You're fine. Sid, thank you for the super chat. So Earth Defense Force. I find it funny that we're here talking about it at length because it's one of those games that you bring up unironically,
I do bring
occasion.
It up.
Yeah.
I bring it up on occasion. I'm like, EDF. Yeah. And now they give me an opportunity to review it. And I leapt at it. I was like, absolutely. But honestly, I expected it to be more like the last couple EDF games where I was going to play it and be like, doesn't have the same magic. And then I booted it up and I was like, this is like, they just went back to the old, like no changes. They just went back to the old EDF.
Magic is here.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. Yeah, because I didn't follow this game at all. Like I know it's been out in Japan and I've been excited for it to come to the States, but I haven't seen a trailer. I didn't know like what they were doing. I just was like, oh, EDF, it'll come and I'll play it eventually. So yeah, nice. if you like the old school ones, it is that and way too much of that. So
it never connected with me, but I might have tried the ones you think we're trying too hard. I don't know which one I even popped my head in on.
Yeah, I really recommend you can play them on Xbox. They're backwards compatible games. EDF 2017 is like, for me, that one is very funny.
Is that actually from 2017, or is that the far future of 2017?
It is far future of 2017, and I believe the game came out in 2010 or somewhere thereabouts. So yeah, they were like, in 7 years we're going to attack by ants. I believe this game opens up being like in the future, 2022, and then you're like, what? Wait, huh? Yeah. So Japan, man. It is a good time.
I like if you're going to make a game like that, though, you just go into it. Just go full force. Like
really my complaint is why is it only on PlayStation now? These games were a staple on Xbox for many years, and then that whole community is gone. So but yeah, the PlayStation community, at least the people I've been playing with, because I stayed up till 7 to finish the game, as I mentioned, and the 2 randoms who joined my party that night stayed in the game the whole time. And one of them was East Coast. So he was up till 10 a.m. He missed his brunch with his friend group. Like, he messaged me afterward. And that is what you get when you play EDF. Like, the community is just so positive because they know exactly what they're getting. It's a very specific type of person who plays a game like that. And they'll stick with you. So the game is just a great experience for those who just have the stomach for that type of intentionally kind of janky game.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. I know we talked a little bit about Dungeons of Hinterberg last week. The positivity surrounding that. Yeah, a lot of positivity. It's cool to see that game because it was made by a handful of people, a small group. And one of the Steve wrote an article for us on it this week, which actually was shared by one of the co-founders of the studio, which was awesome. So good feedback around that game. Really cool to see them getting a positive vibe from it, especially, I think that's one of those games where I think launching in Game Pass really helped them, right? Get some visibility to it and get some people playing it. For me personally, and read that article, by the way, from Steve. It's a good one. It's not specifically like a review or anything. It's more of an opinion piece around like the kind of structure of the game and how it relates to kind of social things in your life. But No Man's Sky is basically what I've been playing. You kind of tried to segue me there, Hogue. I don't want to,
because of the new Expedition that I really thought the segue made sense. I don't know if you've played it yet, Ains, but it's
the Expedition specifically. No,
it's essentially a Helldivers expedition.
Yeah, I saw it. I was, you go to the anomaly or whatever it is in the game, and it's where you can kind of match make and get into group things and stuff if you want to nowadays. That game has so much in it nowadays. It's rather ridiculous, but it's been the perfect veg out game for me. I haven't been very busy with other things, so haven't really been playing a lot of the competitive games and stuff I usually play. So No Man's Sky has been just one of those great games to just turn your mind off, going back to what Travis was saying about Earth Defense Force. So I just float around the universe, exploring, finding new stuff, and it's really, really, really enjoyable. So a lot of people have asked me about it on Twitter of same as me. I played it early on, first year, whatever, and I haven't touched it since. Is it worth going back? And I keep telling people, yes. Absolutely, give it another shot. Install it. It's you can play it basically any way you want to play it now, and it's been really, really enjoyable.
That's interesting that you describe it as a turn your brain off game, because I remember the opposite being true, where I was like, oh my god, I have to think about everything. I have to think about all these currencies and crafting materials, and then you go to the space station and you see a million vendors, and you're like, oh god, oh no, how long am I going to be playing this game? So that was a turn my brain on game for me. But I guess you can just play it different ways, I guess, is the point.
Well, you get into the zone, right? I mean, what you're doing with your sodium and your hydrogen, and you get
and also, I mean,
what do you do with your sodium, Hoke?
For me personally, I put it back on the table and say no, thank you.
I try not to consume much of it, honestly.
I have a medical condition.
Do you guys both avoid table salt?
I don't use table salt on anything. I never have.
Really?
I haven't used table salt since the incident.
Wow. Is that a part of it? That's why strokes happen?
That is too broad, right? There's a number of different reasons strokes can happen.
Table salt will kill your brain.
I'm just controlling my sodium intake, yes.
I see. And you're just doing it because health is wealth, or what?
Pretty much, yeah. I just don't like salt. I don't even really like the taste of it. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, no food cast.
Or is your food bland?
It can be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You are British. All right. Moving on.
Yeah. Food is about what it does for your body. Yeah, I know. I knew where he was going. It's a common joke at my expense. It's fine. But no, I think why I said it's a turn your brain off is because if you think about the games I'm usually playing, where they're very fast paced, competitive, sweaty, etc. No Man's Sky, like thinking about, oh, I have to use this material. That's nothing. That's minor compared to what I'm usually doing, where I'm like super intense all the time. So, yeah.
Well, you also don't do building like.
Nope.
So yeah, so maybe that takes a little bit of the. I just remember it being really complicated. Like, oh, you want to build like this drive or this ship or this thing.
If there's certain materials and stuff. Yeah.
I just remember
a lot of nested building trees in the game now.
Yes, there are. But yeah, you should see my house. My house is like a square, just to get through some quest stuff and unlock some stuff. But for the most part, no, just flying around. Yeah, and if you look at it on the map, it says Porsche's amazing base. But if you go there, it's just a square with half a roof. Yeah, it's awesome. So, but no, great game. But yeah, I think one of the things I was going to comment on, and I think Hogue, you probably have some other stuff you want to mention too, but just the commentary on just Game Pass in general recently, because I was thinking about Dungeons of Hinterberg. We've talked about Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess. I mentioned Modern Warfare 3 is on there now. I think we talked a little bit about Flintlock last week. Still Wakes the Deep, Neon White. There's all these releases in the past like few weeks on Game Pass. So it's been, I know we kind of talked more at length about the Game Pass price increase a few weeks ago, but the content has been amazing. And all I was thinking is if they can just keep this kind of third-party content coming with what we know is coming from first party, this I think is kind of what we're talking about, right? Then it makes it, you've got a value proposition that I think makes a lot of sense, because there's more games than I can play right now that I want to play on Game Pass, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, I wasn't here when the price increase was announced and when you guys discussed it. But I am the type of player that likes to see those indie games. And I actually really like whoever's curating the Game Pass list, right? Like you go onto Steam, you get overwhelmed by the number of games that are available, or if you look at the Switch eShop and you see all the crap that's in there.
Yeah.
Like Game Pass does a really good job of picking indie winners, right? And so I actually view now your presence on Game Pass essentially as a Nintendo seal of quality from back in the day. And that's nice. And that's essentially accidental. I mean, it's not accidental for the people doing the work at Microsoft, but it's not the intentionality of the Game Pass product. So I think it's pretty cool that when I see a game on Game Pass, I have a reasonable suspicion that it's going to be doing at least something new and interesting in the indie space or in the small space. And I bought Kunitsu-Gami on the PlayStation because that's where I'm more often playing, and that controller works a little bit better with my hands right now. But ordinarily, where I would feel bad about buying a game that I saw came out on Game Pass like the next day, Kunitsu-Gami is the rare game where I was like, no, I would have wanted this. I would have wanted this in my collection anyway. But I'm really happy that people get to try such a weird game through the Game Pass mechanism, because I think it'll get more potential folks trying out something that they wouldn't have otherwise with that out there.
Yeah. I think it's a fair shake at Game Pass.
Discovering your next favorite game element of Game Pass, I think, is like an underrated component of like a subscription service, because I know a lot of my uber casual friends who just buy Madden and Call of Duty every year. That's like the only games they buy. And they are Game Pass subscribers either by hook or by crook, right? Either they kind of got in there using the free, or $1 and got it for years, like Ains and other people do, or they just signed up for it or whatever on free trial. Aren't you one of those people who stacked like months and months of free Game Pass?
I did 3 years of stacking, but then I let it lapse.
No, that was Dan.
That was Dan. Okay, yeah. But yeah, they're like on Game Pass now, and hearing them talk about like Darkest Dungeon, I was like, what? Yeah. Talking about Darkest Dungeon? Like, what the? And then he was like, yeah, I'm really into that game. And he's like, I I like games like that. Are there any games like that? And I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. You know what I mean? It's like they're, yeah, that was really cool. That game where I died and then I had to like keep replaying it until I beat it. And I'm like, you're talking about roguelikes. And he's like, yeah, I guess so. Are there any more of those? And I'm like, oh God, are
No,
there?
that is the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
one.
Yeah, there's no other rogue. It's just so funny to hear my uber casual friends talking about genres and types of games they never would have even considered trying, and they just do it because they're sitting, according to them, they're sitting at home, they're watching the basketball game, and they want to do something on their second TV screen, right? And they're just to keep their hands busy, and so they pop up this random other game, and then they discover that they actually like that stuff, and then they like a new type of game now. So
yeah, it's funny you say discover your next favorite game, because that was Game Pass's tagline for a little while, a few years back, and I think you're right. I think it's underappreciated, but I think Hogue, to your point, yeah, they mentioned, I remember there were interviews with some of that team years ago, because I did a long video on Game Pass. It's been a while now, but I remember them talking about they didn't want to have the problem of Steam and things like the eShop where curation becomes a real problem, right? Because you have hundreds of games releasing every week, and you obviously can't put that many games in front of people. So they were trying to be very concerted in their effort to make sure that they released kind of small groups of games in batches where it gave them the visibility, right? And I think you have to do that anyway, because a lot of these deals, like the games we're talking about, Xbox and Microsoft are paying for those games to be on the service, right? So if you're gonna spend money to try and get people to play those games and to help the publisher, which builds the relationship for ongoing releases, you obviously have to find a good way to get those games in front of people and make sure they give them a shot. So it seems like that aspect of Game Pass has really succeeded, where I think, to your point, other digital shops, which are obviously not a subscription service, but just digital shops in general, have struggled at times.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're really good at figuring out what's got something new and interesting going on. And I think if you're a bigger publisher like Capcom, who makes Kunitsu-Gami, like, I think it's a good choice for them to say there's going to be a barrier of entry for this game. Not only are we going to call it Kunitsu-Gami, and we're not going to give it an easier English title, but it's going to require tactical thinking in what could have been an action game by itself. And some people are just not going to like that, right? You look at games that I really loved, like Midnight Suns, which is ostensibly a Marvel strategy game, but it uses like a card system for deploying the skills. And all the comments we got in our chat when we talked about that game, and what you could see online of people just saying, I don't want to play a card game with my XCOM. And for some reason, like, XCOM is the brand that broached even the strategy kind of barrier for some people. And it would have been a good fit for a subscription service because it's so kind of well realized and such an interesting way to have a strategy game presented. But a lot of people were like, no, I can see the trailers. We talked about it at the time. 2K didn't know how to sell that game.
Their marketing was terrible.
And a subscription service, I think, would have done that some good.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Hogue, I know you said that there were other games you wanted to talk about this week. Anything specific you want to call out before we jump over to the gaming adaptations?
I think the last one I wanted to mention is a little RPG called Arranger. If you haven't seen this one, this is a game where the character that you play moves the world when they move. So every single level is a kind of conveyor belt puzzle of how to approach the monster or the person you want to talk to or the item that you need, and get around rocks and things in a very cool puzzle RPG kind of game. And I think they call it a role puzzling adventure or something like that. But it's an indie game. It's pretty low cost. I got it on the Switch. It works well on the Switch. That's the kind of game I get on the Switch. But I've only played it for a few hours, but it's been charming for those first few hours. So I think it's going to be a winner long term. I don't know if I've seen anybody review it, but Arranger is the other game that I've been playing that I wanted to mention because it is a cool little indie thing.
What So you mentioned games like this a lot, and this is a genuine question, by the way. You mentioned games like this a lot, which are lower cost of entry, rarely heard of or discussed in the social space, right? Like, do you just see these on the store and think that looks cool and just give it a shot? Or like, how do you discover these games typically?
So I watch the Wholesome Directs. I watch the Day of the Devs, and those both kind of have a certain curation aspect. They're pulling things I think are interesting from the indie space. And what I wind up doing is when I go and I scan the store, and I'll look at the PlayStation Store and the eShop every couple of days. And when I go and scan the store and I recognize one of the ones that I saw in just the back of my head and said, that looked interesting. A Ranger was one of those. And I couldn't tell you which show I saw it in, but it was definitely one of those shows. And I thought that looked interesting. And it turned out to be, honestly, a little better than I thought it would be.
Good. By the way, you just reminded me, I forgot to put this in the notes for today, but for anyone watching, hopefully live, because this isn't going to matter after today. Today is the last day of the Xbox 360 digital marketplace existing. It shuts down tomorrow permanently. So there are hundreds of games that are like on huge sale right now, like, upwards of 90% off. They're like $2, that used to be, do the math, $20, or something like that. That works. That you can get today and not after today. So, some of those games, obviously, you can get physical copies of that exist out in the world. Some of them don't, though. So if there's a bunch of games from like the Xbox Live Arcade days or, any of those kind of early digital releases when digital really kind of started, becoming the thing about 15, 20 years ago now, you may want to go have a look and buy them because you won't be able to after today. So
go get my Geometry Wars on.
Shout out. Oh, I love that. God, I played that game so much, Hogue. You have no idea. This is a true story. When 360 launched, 2005, it was, right? I went to midnight launch. My good friend who I came with me, came back to my house at the time. And I bought 6 games with it at launch. And we went home, hooked it up, and just played it all night through the morning, right? And I forget the games like King Kong. Remember King Kong?
I do. Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Peter Jackson's King Kong, right? The Madden and Cameo and a few other games. The game we played most of the night was Geometry Wars.
Remember, Xbox Arcade was a revelation.
Yeah. It was, the fact that you
awesome.
could get games instantly, buy them digitally on a store was like mind blowing to me at the time. I was
360 changed the industry. Amazing console. Yeah.
So are you telling me that if I go to my Series X and I go to the Xbox store, all the 360 games that are there are not going to be there anymore, or just that I can't buy them on the 360 UI?
No. They're not going to be there. The store place is shutting down.
Not the 360 games. If I understand your question, Travis, the 360 games.
That was my question. Is the games itself? Like I'll be able to buy 360 games on the Xbox Series X store, right?
Yeah.
I just can't do it on the.
The backwards compatible. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, misunderstood your question. Yes.
Okay. So any game. So really, this only impacts games that you can only acquire on the 360 store. Is there a list of those somewhere?
There is a list on Xbox right now. Yes. Yeah. Just I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry, but yeah, if you just search on Twitter, search on Google, you'll find it. Because even Xbox themselves are saying go get these, and they're on like deep discount before they shut it down. So you can check that out.
Okay.
All right. Let's jump over then. Well, we got one super chat to catch up on. Travis Dom and Mr. Don Lionheart in the house.
Don Lionheart offers a $5 super chat that reads, "Good afternoon, Bitcast. Happy to see you all. Please tell Dan we miss him and hope he's okay and comes back someday. Dan portrait until then, maybe?"
We do have a Dan portrait one. I don't have it up here live, but we do have one. So we'll see. We'll see, maybe. Don, thank you very much as always. Appreciate it. All right. So, wanted to talk about video game adaptations. Like I said at the start of the show, San Diego Comic-Con right now, a lot of news around, upcoming shows, movies, etc. And there are a lot. So I did a little kind of digging on what's coming and what's planned and where things are. And obviously, we're not going to cover literally everything that's coming from a video game space. But there are a lot of video game adaptations in the works. Obviously, many have come out or, have futures, but there's others that haven't yet that are being worked on. So I figured take a little time to go through those and just kind of update where they are, excitement for them, etc. So I wanted to start with our cover one, which was Like a Dragon. And this is a little homage to Dan, of course, being the gigantic Yakuza fan he is. But at SDCC,
we got series, not the gangs. but yes.
He's a big fan of the gangs. Their work is
the gangs themselves. Yes, that's actually where Dan is right now. I wasn't supposed to say it, but he's had to travel.
I mean, as organized crime goes, pretty good. Pretty good. They're one of the more organized of the crime.
One of the ones, you like to see. And I will. This is where I ping Tokyo Vice again. Watch that show. Great show. Like a Dragon Yakuza. It's coming out October 25th and November 1st. They're doing it in 2 bunches for some reason. So you get half of the series October 25th. You get half of the series the next week on Prime. And basically what they said, it's live action. Obviously, the crime suspense series based on the original screenplay, loosely inspired by the first game in the series, 2005's Yakuza. It will be set mainly in the, how do you pronounce that? Kamurocho Entertainment
We're not
District.
looking at what you're looking at, Ain, so I don't know.
Oh, it's in the notes if you have the notes up.
Well, I can read the notes along with you if you want.
Straight from the games, and follows Kiryu and 3 of his childhood friends in time periods 1995 and 2005. So it's set
Kamurocho. That's the
Kamurocho.
main Yakuza little city.
It is a little city in Yakuza.
Yeah, so that's coming October 25th. They did a teaser trailer of it. Excitement seems to be kind of palpable, I'll say, for the show.
That's the kind of adaptation that you can see. Like, it's not difficult to see working, right? Like, crime shows work, anti-hero shows work. There's no reason why a Yakuza show shouldn't work.
Does
that mean it will?
Tone right. It has to be a little goofy. A lot of goofy, really.
Oh, they're not going to get the side quest goofiness in there. That's not going to. They're not going to get that in there.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Okay.
Honestly, I feel like that's essential. They got to get some of the weirdness. And
I'm willing to commit to the fact that the series will not have the video game's side quest / Kiryu Kazama's obsession with various arcade machines or drone racing or slot car racing or whatever else he does.
I'll take that action.
You'll take that action? I'm willing to bet that does not appear in the TV series.
Let's bet. What are we betting on?
A gentleman's agreement.
Oh, I want stakes, bro. Let's put
all right.
Yeah. If I win, we're gonna play EDF 6 for at least an hour together. And I'm gonna make you recap the part of the story that you experienced on this show. What would you like me to do?
I don't have anything quite as grating as that.
Grating? Come on, bro. It's an honor.
I just want you to have a good time, Travis.
All right. So if you win, I'll have a good time. I mean, that's honestly, that might be more of a punishment than anything else. You're diabolical, Hogue. You want me to?
That's right. If I win, you have to be content and happy with life. And
define what his ideal perfect game would be.
Hey, I did that.
That's all he has to do is actually name the best video game of all time.
Minecraft.
Speaking of Minecraft, there's a movie for that coming too. All right, might as well just say, so Minecraft movie coming actually on April 4th. Has a release date already, and Jack Black apparently playing Steve. So
okay,
I don't. Hoax.
Look, I don't like Jack Black's Donkey Kong. I've never really liked his shtick, with only one exception. I like School of Rock.
Okay.
Why are you always talking about Jack Black's Donkey Kong? Just every podcast you're bringing up Jack Black's Donkey Kong.
I don't like Jack Black voice acting. I don't like his shtick. I mean, that's.
Oh, you're talking about his character. Okay.
I am.
Got it. Thought it was an innuendo.
No.
Okay.
Well, maybe.
I don't know.
So that's coming. More importantly, kind of week and a half from now, which we get the Borderlands movie. And as a big Borderlands fan, I have not liked the look of this from the start. It has not looked good to me. I was more surprised when I was doing this research, because I didn't know this previously. Of all people to do the screenplay for this, Craig Mazin did the screenplay for this. So, Chernobyl, Last of Us.
I wasn't impressed with his Last of Us work, so why not? Hit it out of the park with Borderlands.
I think it could be good.
Do you really?
I do. Yeah. So I'm writing also today after the EDF review. I'm writing a Borderlands article to try to like.
You think the Borderlands movie could be good?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I do think it could be good.
All right, Travis. You
Hope
man
is
that hill.
offended by your opinion.
No. I've seen
You know something I don't?
I've seen no indication in any respect that movie was even made with the intention of being good. Like, I don't see why you think that, but I'm hopeful that people that are looking forward to it enjoy it like anything else. But it looks like crap.
That's about as direct as Hogue will get.
I don't. How much of the movie have you seen?
I've seen nothing. I've seen the trailers and I've seen the like interviews.
Okay. So we're equally unsure.
I think what did it for me originally that turned me off, like right out of the gate, was announcing Kevin Hart as Roland. Because I love Kevin Hart. Like, I'm a huge Kevin Hart fan in terms of his stand-ups and certain things, right? Roland, no. Like, I don't understand that casting right from the get-go was odd as hell.
He's
and
a
then
different character for sure in the movie.
Yeah, it's just gotten weirder since then. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We'll see. It's out in 2 weeks or a week and a half. We'll see how it does.
I mean, I think it'll either be surprisingly good or horrible, and either of those are more interesting than like whatever Michael Fassbender Assassin's Creed was. You know what I mean?
I think you're looking right at a Fassbender Assassin's Creed scenario.
Well, but I don't think Fassbender Assassin's Creed was like horrifically bad. It was just bad enough to be kind of like, yeah. Because if it was horrifically bad, I would be like, that was worth it. But it wasn't. It was kind of bad, which is the least interesting.
I think Borderlands is going to be the traditional video game adaptation movie bad.
So like aggressively bad?
The Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider bad.
Okay. Man, I really wish Dee were here. She loves that movie, and I want to see her fight you about that. She does. Yeah, she loves it.
The Tomb Raider movie?
She loves the Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie.
Every movie is somebody's favorite.
Wow.
It's hard to believe.
Get the crab. Come on in.
Forget the crabs. We've got more important topic.
Can we have, if she ends up being on this show after we're married, this needs to be a topic, because I want her, to be honest, I want her to explain herself too, because she has said that to me multiple times, and I've been like, let's not dive too deeply into what that's about. But you
don't want a deal breaker to be found under there.
Yeah, I'm kind of just like, we'll just pretend that this issue didn't arise, so that to keep the peace. Because I'm with you, Hogue, but I do want to hear how why she feels that way. But yeah, I would like it to be either surprisingly good or horrible. I don't want it to be just kind of bad. That would be pretty upsetting to me.
You know,
I would be surprised, but I also, from a business standpoint, just looking at that movie, they haven't put enough stuff out for it to be releasing in 2 weeks. So that suggests to me that the studio also doesn't love what they've got.
Or they're trying to surprise and delight you.
It's so good. It's going to blow you away.
Yeah.
Well, look, not everybody can be as marketing annoying as Ryan Reynolds. I get that. But it does seem to me like they don't have faith in their product. I mean, one thing that I like about the Concord marketing push is, like, if you didn't see, Sony's got a controller coming out for Concord. They just released like a cartoon that they had commissioned on their channel. And I do like that, whether or not it succeeds or not, Sony appears to be well and truly behind it. They believe in Firewalk. They believe in the game. Or, as someone said on my Twitter, they're really desperate. Both could be true. But either way, I'm happy to see that kind of support. I don't see that kind of support for the Borderlands movie.
Hogue's just jealous he doesn't have his butt cheeks on the back of an Xbox controller. And I get it.
Seems to me like they could have had a popcorn bucket pretty easily made that looks like Claptrap. Why is there no Claptrap popcorn bucket?
There's a Borderlands popcorn bucket, is there not?
I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one.
Am I going to be able to stick my fist in a worm while I watch this movie? That's what I want to know.
There is an alien head one for Romulus.
Always an option. You can bring Shai Hulud to any movie.
Oh yeah, dude! I saw the Romulus one. That's
a movie I'm looking forward to, but it's not related to our conversation.
Yeah. Okay. So confirmed, there is a Claptrap popcorn bucket.
Okay. Well, that seems like the most obvious popcorn bucket you could make. So I would hope so.
Yeah.
There we go. I knew there was. I saw something online. Somebody talking about a popcorn bucket.
I didn't know there was one, but yeah, we shall see. Like I said, as a big Borderlands fan, I have not been happy with what I've seen so far, but we'll see. Obviously, Fallout. We talked a lot about Fallout earlier this year with the series and how it, I think we agreed it did a really good job at kind of capturing the essence of Bethesda Fallout. That has been renewed. Season 2 will continue the storyline set up in Season 1. There were some rumors like they would like jump and go a different direction, but they said no, they're continuing the same characters and storyline, which I think is smart. And yes, the rumor is that they may do a stop in Vegas. They said was
spoilers.
Yeah, I mean,
spoilers,
come on, no one's played this. Games are new. Come on.
Now wait a minute. I didn't say anything about the plot lines that lead you to they set up Vegas, but they set up Vegas.
I don't think re-saying the words helps your case.
You're like, I didn't say any of the plot lines leading up to Snape killing Dumbledore, but Snape kills Dumbledore. Still spoiler, Hogue. You can't just...
How is it a spoiler?
I guess it's not a key spoiler. It's a spoiler of where they go, but it's not.
I mean,
all of the characters don't die at the end of the Fallout TV series.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to more Fallout. There are no details that I saw. All they said was they're going to continue. They've structured for filming, but they obviously haven't started filming. That one will be a ways away yet. But I'm excited about one.
Good about that. I do worry about the Nolan Joy combo after living through Westworld, but I am hopeful for Fallout.
Yeah, Westworld definitely jumped the biggest shark I've seen. Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft, speaking of Tomb Raider, is an animated series coming to Netflix on October 10th. And it supposedly takes place after the trilogy of games, the latest trilogy of games. And
which Lara are we talking about?
So that's the Lara, the later Lara.
Later Lara, okay.
Later Lara, yeah. So October 10th, I didn't even know, or I forgot that was coming, but it's coming and coming pretty soon. So
I probably won't have Netflix in October. It's currently in timeout until they deliver the end of the Cobra Kai season.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I told you I rotate through those slots. Right now, Peacock has the streaming slot because their Olympics coverage is excellent. And I love the Olympics.
Yeah, that it is.
You watched that Ancient Rome show? Ancient Rome?
I watched the Olympics.
Okay. You didn't watch Anthony
Modern
Hopkins be the Emperor of Rome?
I have not watched anything related to Rome.
You know what I'm talking about?
Paris.
It's one of those shows is going to be bad because it's got a former Game of Thrones actor in it as the main guy. It's the Ramsay Snow actor. Those About to Die. It's coming back to me.
Oh, that just came out right this week.
What's actually interesting about Peacock, because I do think their Olympics coverage is excellent and well worth the $7 a month or whatever, is that when they put the commercials on for their own streaming service, it is like less than the $1 discount streaming shows for my interest level, at least. Like everything they show that's supposed to be the best, coolest stuff that you'd want to continue to subscribe to Peacock for. I'm like, nope, this is going off. Those closing ceremonies are going to end, and before the fire is out, Peacock subscription is going to be over.
All I know about Those About to Die is that Anthony Hopkins plays the Emperor of Rome, and there was IGN gave it a 6 out of 10. This is all I know. That's all I know about it.
I don't know anything about it.
I thought that was what was the name of the Taika Waititi is a pirate show?
Our Flag Means Death.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
thank you. I get confused with the streaming show names.
I'm surprised I knew that. I know nothing about what TV or movies are out there, but I got that one. Damn.
There you go. Also with Netflix, so we heard about BioShock, which who knows how this is going to turn out, but it's being scaled back, has been reported by IGN and others. And the producer actually said the new regime, the new regime has lowered the budgets. We're doing a smaller version. It's going to be a more personal point of view as opposed to a grander, big project.
That's what BioShock is known for. Little non-saga storytelling.
I mean, kinda. The original Bioshock was like
no. Bioshock is about freaking societal collapse, Travis.
I know. What's more societal collapsey than low budget? I mean, did you guys play the
That's
Borderlands?
weird.
Borderlands 1 is like a very like low budget game. If you guys played the Bioshock Remastered collection that they released, I reviewed that game, and you listen to the video documentaries in that, and they're talking about like how they wanted it to be in space, but they couldn't afford the draw distance of space, so they were like, oh, we'll put it underwater, that way when it's like blurry and you got the fog of war, they'll be like, oh, it's just because it's water. And then like you have characters behind glass in shadow because they couldn't afford a character model for it, and so they were just like, oh, we'll just cast them in shadow, and then hopefully people will think it's noir, so it's in the tradition.
It all worked.
Honestly, from a legal standpoint, I'd be very, very worried about making it in space because of System Shock, and like you're clearly already very close to borrowing IP that you don't own. So Bioshock is better for being underwater and having all these things required of it for whatever reasons.
Honestly, that interview, that documentary is worth replaying Bioshock 1 just to find all those reels, because you find out so much about the game, like the fact that they basically put the setting underwater out of necessity for technological reasons, and then they said, okay, what type of society could we justify living underwater? And the creator was like, I was reading Atlas Shrugged at the time, and I was like, maybe it'll be some crazy entrepreneur guy, and like that whole game was just spawned out of like them finding their backs against the wall for development reasons, and then coming up with a way to kind of explain that away. And the game turned out amazing. So my point is, maybe.
By the way, if you want Bioshock in space, just play Prey. You got it.
Well, I mean, play System Shock too.
Yeah, System Shock's better.
No, play Prey.
I love it.
But I still love, and I've said this multiple times on the show, but if you're not aware and are a Bioshock fan, there is a prequel book, which I love that it exists. And it's a well-written book that's a prequel to Bioshock.
Wait, is that real?
Actually, absolutely real. I have it on my shelf behind me.
What?
And it tells the story of Ryan in the US, before he builds Rapture. And it has key plot points for all the main characters in the game. Like it's really well done. Yeah, it's awesome.
Tell me about this.
Yeah, I think it's actually called Bioshock Rapture. I'll go pull it up before the end of the show.
If Travis pretend calls to be off screen again, I'm going to start to believe she doesn't exist.
This whole thing, honestly, I get out there and he's just got his hand in a sock
it's
puppet.
Like one of those sitcom tropes where there's just a voice off screen that's supposed to be a character.
Hey, we've never seen Ains's wife either. We don't know.
That is on purpose. Yeah, I keep her off the social space.
That's on purpose. Can't show her on camera.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? So Arcane, which getting us back on track here. Arcane, which
we have to keep dissing Bioshock for a second. Netflix scaling something back.
Yeah,
sounds awful. Netflix spends garbage money on a whole bunch of crap to scale this one project back in particular.
To be fair,
suggests to me that they really don't believe in it.
To be fair, what other currency would you spend on garbage or on crap than garbage money?
There you go.
My favorite currency.
All right.
How many garbage dollars does it take to buy this crap, sir?
Netflix spends money willy-nilly, so if they're scaling back on Bioshock, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And we already talked however many months ago about the fact that a Bioshock movie experience seems difficult to kind of wrap our heads around, period. Yep. So what did that script look like before? What's it going to look like after?
Do the prequel.
People would be so disappointed if it was a Bioshock movie without Rapture.
Yeah, it has to be in Rapture. Like, it has to be. It has to be. I don't know how you do without it.
It's just going to be in a room that they say is in Rapture.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe
Arcane, season 2.
Yes.
Arcane is a highly kind of awarded show, right? I didn't watch it, but I've heard it's incredible. Season 2 is coming in November. So
Arcane is the best video game media adaptation of any kind. And I say this not as a League of Legends player, so I have no idea how well it characterizes the people in League of Legends. But as its own story, Arcane is fantastic.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like
I've
that.
heard
I
the
like
art style is amazing in it, but I need to watch it. Yeah.
It is. It's really unusual.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie, December 20th. It's going to be a Christmas movie this year. And it reminded me, looking this up, that Sonic the Hedgehog is the highest grossing video game movie of all time.
Nice.
That's because they fixed Sonic.
They fixed him?
His teeth.
Remember
Poor
people
Sonic.
that complain about things. It can pay off.
The original Sonic look.
His
Yeah, that's right. I
knackers.
forgot about that. Yeah.
God, dude, I would love to see the alternate reality where that was just the movie. I want Sonic to be horrifying. I wish they could make him more. I want him to be more fleshy and human.
More fleshy.
Yeah.
Just that word.
Yeah.
I never asked for something to be more fleshy.
I do all the time. D, tell about the fleshy.
All right. I'm not a big fan of the genre of adaptation.
I got to cancel a flight, guys. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm not a big fan of the genre of adaptation that takes an IP and then says, like, what if it were in the real world? Like, that's the Sonic movies.
Yes.
I don't love that.
Mm.
So
Okay.
Seeing Cyclops not act at a CGI blue hedgehog while Ace Ventura also doesn't really act is not my favorite thing. The first movie was okay, and then the second movie was way too much.
I haven't seen them, so.
But say that they should go further. We've just scratched the surface of how far
the fleshiness.
Yeah,
it's fair.
I want Marsden to fall in love with a raccoon. I want it to just.
Well, they got to be introducing Shadow soon, right? Is that going to be 3?
They are
Knuckles
introducing Shadow.
Well, Knuckles is 2.
Knuckles 2, Shadows.
Two.
Yeah, Shadow.
Shadow's in 3. I saw his bike, rocket bike, in an ad.
I don't know. Whatever it is, it's edgy.
Yeah.
Good. Make it more edgy. We can go farther. We can go deeper.
Are you done?
Fleshy. We can go more fleshy.
Speaking of fleshy, Last of Us season 2. Next year on Max. They have said the only thing we know about it, we know the casting obviously, but there'll be multiple seasons to cover the second game.
To cover the second game. Yeah. Things that you didn't need to do was expand the time you spend in the universe of The Last of Us Part 2.
We can go further. Make it more seasons. 10
They
seasons.
will. They are. I mean, they're making Last of Us season 3 or Last of Us 3. So, I mean, they're going to keep going.
We'll see if they get there.
So
they could flesh it out with more seasons.
I mean, they can do what they did in season 1 and then just take a time out for various episodes to tell a flashback that doesn't matter to the main characters or plot.
They should do that.
That's what they do.
Every episode, for every episode of content, there should be at least 6 or 7 flashback episodes.
There's going to be an episode that's just about that bartender in that town in Wyoming.
Right.
Just like, great, fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we'll see on this one. I know, I liked season 1. I still think the game is better. But season 2, we've talked a lot about Last of Us 2 on this show, so I'm not going to get into that. But we'll see how this does. I don't know.
I've not seen this show.
Oh, really?
You have if you've played The Last of Us.
Yeah, I mean,
I played first. I played all the Last of Us games, and then when this came out, and everybody was like, "It's like a shot-for-shot remake," I was like, "Cool, means I don't have to watch it."
It is. They do. They really do a lot of shot-for-shot type stuff.
Yeah,
I want to see the one episode with what's his face that apparently is new stuff, but that's really all I'm missing.
it's probably the one Hoag's referring to, episode 3, I think it was.
Yeah,
the relationship with Bill.
Yeah.
And,
that guy, mustache boy.
Yeah,
Ron Swanson.
That's right, Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson.
I want to see the Ron Swanson episode, but aside from that, I have no interest in remitigating a game I've already played like 2 or 3 times.
He's a very good actor, and it's a good episode. It just doesn't move the show forward, and it doesn't it takes away from the momentum of whatever plot they had at that point in time.
Is he good in Civil War? Have you seen Civil War, Hogue?
I have not seen Civil War, although I like Alex Garland.
I heard
we'll be watching that this week, I think.
I heard that they don't give a reason for why the Civil War happened, which seems like it would probably be a pretty big part of the plot.
I don't think it's about the Civil War. I think it's about like going.
Why did they call it Civil War then?
I'm not in charge of naming movies.
Why is
Travis?
What?
Stop derailing us.
Aren't we talking about
Moving
movies?
on.
I'm just talking about movies.
No, we're talking about video game movies. Stop it. Moving on. Twisted Metal season 2, which a ridiculous show, but oddly enjoyable. Yes.
Also on Peacock.
Yes, on Peacock. They're continuing same cast, crew, same storyline. Obviously, they set up. I won't spoil it like Hogue, but they set up at the end of. But they set it up at the end of season 1 in a pretty cool way, which really, really ties to the game at its heart. So excited to see what happens there. Some future projects that have been announced at various points. We know small things about them, but kind of some big IPs in the gaming space. So Legend of Zelda, being produced by Shigeru Miyamoto, and is that Avi Arad, chairman of Arad Productions and former founder and CEO of Marvel Studios. So that has some big names and big money behind it. We'll see what they do with Legend of Zelda and what kind of story they're going to tell there, because who the hell knows where they start, the timeline,
I don't know why they would do that live action with the success of the Super Mario movie. So good luck to them.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. By the way, guys, we get if you didn't know this, we get a season 4 of The Witcher, and there's a new Geralt in town that I think you're going to be very excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming.
Great.
God of War. They're doing a live action God of War, which is coming to Prime as well. As well as a what do you call it? Horizon as well. So live action God of War. How do you do that?
Well, I assume when they say live action, it's essentially the same as a Disney live action. So there'll be a huge CGI elements and Furies and gods and whatever.
Who's playing God of War? Who's playing Kratos? Do we know?
Who's playing God of War? All I saw is coming to Prime. I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't think it's been announced yet.
Shouldn't it be Christopher Judge? I mean, he's an actual actor.
Nah.
Okay. I mean, what can you say about that?
Nah. Yeah, so we'll see. But Sony's going all in because they have Ghost of Tsushima as well, which is actually being done by John Wick's director. So Chad Stahelski is going to be doing Ghost of Tsushima. And then, like I said, they have Horizon as well. So, they're doing kind of everything in the PlayStation Studio front. So we shall see. And then Gears of War.
Where's my Astrobot movie, Sony? Come on.
Oh, there we go.
Only 5 weeks away.
I like Luke's comment.
Yeah.
He says God or War. That's great.
God or War.
That would be a good show. God or War. Which one? Which one are you gonna choose?
Well, he says it's easy to do badass on a revenge mission. I'm not talking about the concept. I'm talking about how do you show that on the screen? How do you show Kratos? How do you show his abilities? Are you going for the kind of early God of War games, which are obviously incredibly violent and kind of more of the Greece and Roman type thing? Or are you going for modern God of War, which more people know nowadays in the gaming space, but is wholly different from what the old God of Wars were?
They're going to go with the more popular Greek mythology. So you're going to get a closer to the original kind of feel of God of War. At least that's what I would. Right. That's what
I would think so.
You're right. Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Hogue, God or War?
False dichotomy.
Choose.
I will not choose.
Usually it's gods and war. God? To be fair,
I choose God over War. Yes.
Okay. Well, how about you, Ains? God or War? Are you
what
more
God?
God or, I mean, dealer's choice. They're all the same fictional being. Just
let's go with Bacchus.
You don't have to pick a god.
So he chose God. I'm gonna go with War. I'm gonna go with War on this one.
Okay.
That's
all right.
That was our
Done.
segment called God
Solved it.
or War. we have like a really elaborate like segment card that plays God or War.
That's gonna be our TikTok clip right there.
Yeah. Speaking of war, Gears or War, I choose Gears. Gears of War has a live action movie, which I think they've been trying to make for like 15 years now. That's coming, and an adult quote animated series on Netflix. So Netflix is doing both a live action movie and an adult animated series.
Wait, it's
the movie itself, the live action movie, is being written by Dune and Doctor Strange's John Spates.
Would you say an adult movie? It's a porn?
Yeah, people use adult weirdly, don't
live
they?
action movie and adult animated series.
Okay, so they're making a live action movie and a hentai?
Hey, I mean, the locusts have been known to get down.
This is a legit question. These are two separate shows. One of them's pornography and one of them's an action
movie, one's an animated show.
No, they use adult when they talk about animation to indicate that it's not a kid cartoon.
Yeah, so we'll see. They've been trying to make this one forever. Who knows what is going to happen with this?
Sorry. What is the franchise again? I'm sorry, I was so distracted by you talking about hentai.
Gears of War, man. Come on.
Gears of War. Okay. So
I was not talking about hentai.
James, you keep bringing up hentai. It's like, just get over it, dude. Like, we get it.
What have I gotten myself into? Folks?
I don't know. We're off the rails here today. Yeah, so I don't know. Gears of War is one of my favorite IPs. I'll try to get us back on track. I've been excited about the
stabilizing force. As soon as he's gone, show just falls apart.
All hell breaks loose. I've been trying to, or I've been looking forward to Gears of War movie for a long time, but do I have high confidence they can do it well? Not really. So
it should work as just a template for movie action, but
yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And then there's a bunch of other ones too, obviously coming, all kinds of different things. We're getting a return to Silent Hill. So Silent Hill's coming back. We're getting Death Stranding as a movie. We're getting Days Gone. So again, Sony kind of going all in on their IPs. I find it weird they're making a Days Gone movie and they canceled everything to do with the game. So maybe they feel it's better in movie form. I don't know. But there's a whole lot of things.
Great, and Sony was wrong.
Days Gone is not great.
Days Gone is great.
It is not.
Days Gone is great.
It is not.
Okay. Good argument.
Days Gone was okay. It was okay.
Days Gone might have my favorite characterizations of any of the Sony action adventure games. Like, they actually have characters in that game, when that is not the norm for Sony.
I'm thinking about that take. I don't know. I think the characters fit well within that universe. I'd agree there. And I think they did them justice in a way. I think the game itself is where it fell down for me. The level design, some other things. But yeah, I also don't think it helped that it launched in a pretty poor state, if you remember.
I remember people saying that. I am fortunate enough to never have had many issues playing the game. Either I was right behind the patch curve or...
Yeah, Days Gone. Yeah, the review, because we reviewed that one. Actually, Dan reviewed it, funny enough. And it had a lot of bugs. They fixed them pretty quickly. So like after, a few weeks, month, 2 after launch, it was in a lot better shape. But yeah, I think that really hurt the reviews and stuff at launch because of the state it was in.
My God. That
too. Yeah. But anyway, whole bunch of things coming in terms of adaptations. I am excited about Like a Dragon. I think that can be done very well. I am excited about some of these other things. Some of the other ones, though, I'm like, we'll have to see how they turn out. But it's very clear that we talked about this years ago on the show, but like with the success of the comic movies, like video games, it was only a matter of time till all those IPs got bought up and tried to be, made into series and movies and everything else.
We are basically the new there now. Comic books. They're out of comic book characters, and now they're coming for us.
Well, they're going to try. I mean, I don't know that anything is working too terribly well for the people making media content right now. We'll see if they can do it as well as even something like Arcane. But a lot of these choices don't make sense, right? I think the Yakuza one makes sense. I think there are things here that we talked about in this list that make sense, but like Minecraft, the movie, you're just pulling because of the Minecraft name and popularity of the IP. That's going to be essentially the equivalent of making a movie about Pop-Tarts. So we'll see how that works. Death Stranding, which is a game I adore, is not one that I think lends itself to being a movie other than the movies that are already in Death Stranding.
I was going to say, isn't it already a movie?
Which leads you to the Last of Us problem, which is like, if you're a big fan of that particular product, you don't want to just watch it again.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I have no interest whatsoever, never have, in playing Death Stranding, but I'll probably watch it.
Well, I love Days Gone. You've heard me defend it, but like, I don't want another piece of zombie media. We got a lot of zombie media out there.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. We shall see. Ghost of Tsushima is an interesting one to me. I'm very curious, especially considering it's John Wick's director, to see how they do, how they pull that one off. So
I think we already got Shogun. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that'll follow the Shogun model, I would assume.
We're good.
Yeah.
We have Shogun at home. Ghost of Tsushima.
So just a couple other notes I want to mention. So we did get a delay on Stalker 2. So Stalker 2 was supposed to come out here in a few weeks, actually. Big Game Pass release. We've talked at length about what that game studio is going through, being in the Ukraine, and the struggles they've had kind of bringing this game to completion. So it has been delayed to November 20th. So now a late in the year game, which is perfectly fine for me, honestly, because there's actually a lot releasing late August, early September. So I actually prefer this, if I'm honest. And I, obviously I continue to wish that team all the best and hope that, it just don't really have many words to say about what they're going through as a people and studio. So,
yeah, the most justified delay in gaming history. Yeah,
probably. Yeah. So, but other than that, I know, Hogue, you mentioned this, and it's getting very close. I think review copies will be out here in a couple weeks. Is Star Wars Outlaws is not far away, and then like a week after that, we get Astrobot.
Yeah, let's blow some smoke up our colleague's skirt here. I love the first looks on Outlook at IGN, on Outlaws at IGN. They have been really good and really insightful interviews with the developers and what they're doing with the open world in space, and actually having a video of showing a mission from beginning to end with cuts, of course, but really useful to getting excited about the product, understanding the product better. And people give IGN a lot of crap, but their first look series, I think, is really, really useful in understanding how these games get made and what's in them before you are asked to spend money on them. So I'm really looking forward to Outlaws. That run, actually, of Concord, Outlaws, and Astrobot is really exciting to me. Like, that is a really fun 2-week, 25-day period, whatever it is. And I'm looking forward to it a lot. Outlaws continues to look better and better to me. I know the internet sometimes grouses about various things, either in the first look or other things they see about these games, Concord or Outlaws or Astrobot. But the internet, folks, is a depressing place full of cynical people that like to hate on things. So don't let that control your feelings on the world around you.
Yep. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. You and I sometimes play a lot of different games, Hogue. Between the two of us, I mean, like different games. But yeah, those 3 games I'm very, very much looking forward to. And it's why I said I don't mind Stalker 2 getting delayed for the obvious reasons. But outside of the obvious reasons, I wouldn't have had time really to engage in it anyway, or would have fought for time. Because Outlaws is going to be a big game. There's no doubt about that. It's a big game. Astrobot looks absolutely incredible. And then Concord being multiplayer, you kind of, that just eats up time. So yeah, great period coming up, and it's not far off, man. We're in August next week, so a few days here. Like I said, we'll also get a full look on August 1st at Mountaintop Studio Shooter, which looks, can't really say anything about it. So, but yeah, should be cool. Good times ahead. Kind of crazy, to be honest, that we're nearly at August and that all these games are about to hit the rush. Travis, you're going to be probably knee deep in a bunch of reviews, I'm sure.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
They're going to let you review any of those?
They're not going to let me review Star Wars Outlaws because Dan Stapleton still works at the company, and he'll be able to review every Star Wars game forever. I always try though. Throw my hat in the ring. Hey Dan, if you're busy, I know you got kids. That sounds hard. Take a load off. Yeah, that one. What were some of the other ones? I'm not reviewing Monster
You got
Hunter.
Astrobot. You got
You are
Concord. You're reviewing Concord.
Yeah, I got Concord.
Yeah, we've got Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 later, which Rick calls out, which is I cannot wait for that.
I'm signed up for that one. We'll see if I get it.
Okay.
I would love to have to play that one.
I mean, Kingdom Come, Veilguard, Shadow.
Veilguard, yeah. I'm doing AC Shadows for us.
Yeah,
we got a lot of fun things after we get past that cool August.
While all those big games are coming out, like Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows and Veilguard, all of which I have no chance of reviewing. I'll be reviewing some game that it gets forgotten about, but I'll have fun doing it. And that's the joy of this job.
You're going to review the Slime Rancher 2 1.0 release.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
That could be good, though.
Slime Rancher's awesome.
Black Myth, another one. Christopher calls out Avowed. Obviously, we have Indiana Jones. I'm doing Indiana Jones as well.
Hell yeah. I could do Black Myth. I could see me getting Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, and that again, that's out in late August. So that's actually 4 games now. I forgot Hogue. For me, that stretch there. Yeah, I don't think I'm reviewing.
I've also been trying to review Sea of Thieves for like 2 months, but I just keep getting interrupted by other game reviews. So one of these days I'll review Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, and they have new season 13 or 15?
Yeah, the new one is you can fight an evil ship, and then you can decide to destroy the ship, or you can take it over and then become a boss battle. So you and your crew become a boss battle that the rest of the server tries to defeat.
That's cool. I like that.
Pretty sick. Sick. Yeah.
I like that. Cool. A couple things to catch up on. Midnight Dreary gifting 1 season gaming membership. And Dreary always supporting the channel. Thank you very much, Dreary. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And Shoosh, comment for you, Travis. You got member comments.
All right. Shoosh, member comment. He's been a member for 13 months. It's a year and change. Another Crab's Treasure movie featuring Chris Judge.
Why not? Let's do it.
Crab Toast.
Crab Toast.
And on that note,
I would watch that movie. I don't know if Chris Judge has the affect of the simple poor crab in Another Crab's Treasure.
I wanted to put more time in that game. It left me.
He's a professional actor. He can play a little crab.
I know. I'm sad you guys didn't play more Another Crab's Treasure. It gets really good.
Yeah. There's just too many games, man.
There are too many games.
And that's the thing. I never would have finished. I would never have found time to finish Another Crab's Treasure if I didn't review it. So that is the gift of working in this industry.
Well, it's the games we were just talking about, right? Think about the games we're talking about. Black Myth Wukong, Outlaws, Shadows, Avowed. All these games are going to be big games. They're not games that you're going to finish in 5 hours. You know what I mean? You'll be able to put dozens and dozens of hours into a lot of these games, and it's just impossible.
And those are the new games. I did want to add that, like, the DLC from like last year's games is starting to hit.
We get Vessel of Hatred in October as well.
We get Vessel of Hatred in October. The Avatar first DLC just hit, and I really like that game. That doesn't get spoken a lot about online, but I think that really is a good Avatar game.
Yep. And their second expansion's due before the end of the year, to your point.
Yeah. And so you got all these things that if you got a season pass, you got DLC, like they're just popping into your games from last year at this same period of time.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for 301, boys. 301. Let's go ahead and wrap up. Hogue, I'll pass it to you first this week.
Sure. Well, like I said, I subscribed to Peacock for the first time since the end of Twisted Metal, which I wound up liking better than I thought. And I love the Olympics, so I'm watching the Olympics for most of the day these days with my kids. And I didn't get to making any of those videos I said I might not get to making last week. So we might get to making them this coming week. It's still an ongoing process to see what it is I can and can't do on a given work day. So thanks for bearing with me, everybody at the Hogue Law channel, and for everyone here watching me on Season Gaming. Thanks for bearing with me every week. So hopefully I'll make some more videos soon. I've got some topics that I'm interested in discussing. It's been a very calm, not anything happening period in politics and just U.S. news in general. So very little to cover there if I wanted to, but I might make a video talking about some of these things in the near future. So stay tuned.
Nice.
Otherwise, that's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah, new Ipsos poll out today for anybody curious. Okay, so
I like Travis's NPR voice that he reads.
Just
drops in.
Get hella into the weeds of political stuff. No, I've got games to talk about. That's the thing I'm good at talking about. EDF 6 review tomorrow. Video review TBD later this week, probably in the middle of this week. I've got the Concord review middle of August. I've got a Sea of Thieves review that we'll get eventually. I'm also reviewing Squirrel with a Gun at some point in the near future.
Nice.
So good times.
Who gave that squirrel a gun?
I think he took it by force. I mean, it's pretty.
I want to know the lore. When does this EDF 6 game come out?
EDF 6 is already out, so I had only a week to review it, and it was a 90-hour game. So I don't think anybody beat the game and hit the deadline. But the game came out on Friday, I think Thursday or Friday, so it's out now if you want to play it. But my review will be along shortly, and then I did some previews. I think we already talked about Diablo 4 AI Limit, which is a Souls-like. I previewed.
Nice.
And then I've got some other preview stuff I can't talk about yet, but we'll be able to shortly. And then after my EDF review this week, I'm taking a week off to get married. So you won't hear a lot from me that week. I'll be hanging out with Ains. He's coming to San Francisco. We're going to go do some crazy stuff.
The way you said that, it sounded like you were marrying Ains.
I am marrying Ains.
How do you know he's not?
Yeah.
Well, that's not what the story I've been told.
Why do you think he looks at me and says D? That's just my pet name. That's all it is.
Shout D off camera, and then Ains comes into the room, and you find out we've just been in the same house this whole time.
This whole time.
Yeah.
The background does look like they could fit together with the right lighting.
Yeah, there you go. That's just a different room. On the SG side of the house, been rather quiet as well. Kind of similar to Hogue. My career work's been extremely busy. I haven't done a lot on the channel lately, so apologies for that. Same thing as Hogue. Have some topics, have some things I want to talk about. Just finding the time and energy. Honestly, half the time to do it. We do have a couple things up on the site you can check out. There's a review of a little point-and-click adventure game called The Night is Grey from a small indie studio. Ray did that. Article on Dungeons of Hinterberg from Steve's up. Bitcast 300 was last week. If you haven't checked that out yet, you can catch that. And then obviously we'll be back next week, of course.
Can I also do one more thing for Season Gaming? I was reading an article, I think it might have been Ray, who was writing about how she likes the...
Different Ray. Ray, we have two Rays. We have a guy Ray and a girl Ray. So Ray did the Night is Grey review. You're speaking of Sard, who did... people know her here.
Article. Yeah, about Zenless Zone Zero. Yes. And I found that to be very insightful. Now, it did convince me to not download and try this game, so that your mileage may vary on whether or not you like that kind of message. But I thought it was very insightful. So check that article out, too. They have one on Zenless Zone Zero and the Hoyoverse in general.
Yes, she is. She's got a lot of information about that stuff. So we've talked a lot around like how do we present that out to the audience, and that was one where I said, because we talked about doing a review, and she wasn't really digging it compared to the other games in that Hoyoverse, and it was late, kind of like well after the game. I said, why don't you just kind of explain more of your thoughts around this game, how it doesn't fit into kind of the model. So came out really well, I think, and she loves doing that stuff. So.
I love that insight. I love seeing people kind of grapple with what they like or don't like about things in real time. I know it's obviously not real time when it's an article that I'm reading, but it has that kind of feel to it. And I think that's some of the best stuff you guys do at Season Gaming is those kind of more in-depthful, I'd call them critical pieces, rather than strictly reviews that follow that format in video gaming, but more of the kind of why does this thing work this way? Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. So good. All right. Well, thank you, chat. You've been awesome as always. If you're audio listening, appreciate you. And we will see you next week. Hope you enjoy your time with your games. Until then, peace.